Hey guys, this is a segment from the Slumpbuster Podcast. You can find the full episode on any of the various podcast platforms, or of course, subscribe to us on YouTube for more of our content. Other than that, guys, sit down, bust a slump, and enjoy.
So I know we had just discussed about the Eagles organization and their record this year. I think honestly they will be 10-6 this year. I know that they have strengthened their linebacker side. They got a couple guys in the NFL draft. With a healthy Carson Wentz, I think the Eagles can go 10-6, and they just brought in Jalen Hurts. So with that organization with Doug Peterson, I think he's going to actually implicate more so of a package deal with Jalen Hurts. It's something like, more of the Tim Tebow aspect. So he's going to definitely have some packages plays that, can implicate him more into the system and get him ready in the next couple of years or so. But again, I think he's going to be more so of an insurance policy for the Eagles just in case Wentz gets injured. But again, everything relies on Wentz as well as that defense. That defense last year gave up a lot of yards, especially in the safety position. So they definitely have to strengthen that out. If they can kind of strengthen that out as well as put pressure on some of the quarterbacks this year, I think they will definitely do good and make a great playoff run with a record of 10-6.
All right, guys, we are back. Thank you, of course, to Fago Franklin III. Don't forget about the third part. Definitely adds a cool element to his name there. But Fago, you can find him at Super Journalist 87. He does a ton of great work, covers a lot of live sports, covers every team, expert analysis. He has his own show as well. Definitely worth the watch for a lot of the debates and a lot of the personalities he brings on. But back to these Eagles. They were pretty impressive considering all the circumstances that were thrown their way. They finished 9-7, which I think is a huge credit to Doug Peterson. Since Doug Peterson has been the coach in Philly, they've definitely been one of the most stable organizations in football. The fact that they were able to have 2 playoff runs in which they had a victory with Nick Foles as their quarterback. In fact, one in which resulted, of course, in the Super Bowl championship. Now, when you figure last year, so Carson Wentz finally gets his first chance to start a playoff game. And he gets hurt. Now, I can't hold it against Carson Wentz because a lot of these injuries are freak injuries. You don't expect Jadeveon Clowney to come crashing in the back of your head like what happened last year. You have to look at Carson Wentz and remember that last year, his wide receiving core was abysmal. Literally throwing to guys that were working at supermarkets the week before. And that is not an exaggeration. That is a fact. So this year, what has changed? Unfortunately for him, not a lot because Elshon Jeffrey will start the year on the PUP. You had Marquise Goodwin decide to opt out of the football season. And Deshaun Jackson dealing with his own stuff. Jalen Reagor is the only wide receiver that's still all systems go, and he's a rookie. That is definitely concerning when you think about Carson Wentz's long-term output. Another notable move from the offseason, a couple notable moves from the offseason was, of course, them picking up Darius Slay. A big problem for the Eagles last year was their secondary. So hopefully at least one side of the field being locked down by Darius will add and help them in that regard. Howie Roseman and this Eagles organization has constantly been trying to play chess while all the rest of the teams are playing checkers. They know when to be aggressive. They know when to be patient. So I do trust this front office, and that's why I have the Eagles winning this division again. I had them 11-5 last year. They were one of my more bold takes, and I do think that if it wasn't for the injuries from last year, I think they could have lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, a lot of the injuries and then just that decimated receiving core, they just didn't have really any weapons for Carson Wentz to throw to. And that's a shame because he was still able to do so well in spite of that. I think this year you're correct in that, they really upgraded at a lot of their positions on the defense. So you mentioned Darius Slay. They also got Javon Hargrave, right, from the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then I want to say they added one more like safety or corner, Kavon Wallace. Right, so is another safety. So they've definitely made some moves on the defensive side, but I still worry about the offensive side. I just don't know how much productivity we're going to be able to see from, a healthy Wentz, even if he has nobody to throw to. Because we know that Wentz, when he's, healthy and in his prime, he can, hang with the best of them. But if there's nobody there, like, does it really matter? So that's my worry about this team, is still the offensive side, still not having very many good receivers to throw to, as you mentioned. And so for all those reasons, that's why I have them finishing second. But I have them going 9-7.
Do you foresee the Eagles doing a lot of packages with Jalen Hurts this year? He was their second round selection out of Oklahoma, former Alabama quarterbacks, played in plenty of big games, and to this point has more, I guess, what you would consider postseason experience than their current starter. How active do you think Jalen Hurts will be this year?
I could definitely see him getting some playing time, right? Especially because we see Carson gets hurt occasionally, right, throughout, various seasons. So I wouldn't be surprised if, Wentz is struggling or he does get hurt if we see Jalen Hurts come in. Also, I think Hurts adds a little bit something else to the offense, and that, he's a little bit more mobile than Wentz is, or at least seems to be. He's a little bit more athletic when it comes to like running and stuff like that. So I think he can add a different dynamic to the offense that some teams maybe are not used to. And especially when you don't have the receivers to throw to, maybe go to, using a more mobile quarterback in those instances.
I definitely could see a talented play caller like Doug Peterson wanting to use Hurts in creative ways, such as we've obviously seen Taysom Hill with the Saints. I feel as though a lot of offenses, we know this is a copycat league, but want to have that same level of creativity with their schemes and what they do overall. And I think when I look at the Eagles, they also have Nate Sudfeld, who's competing for the backup role. In theory, I could see Jalen Hurts not necessarily being the backup, but just an offensive player, offensive piece that they try and move around and use to their benefit. Now, I do think that when it comes to their decision to draft Hurts in the second round, I think it was a smart decision because although, as I mentioned earlier, Carson Wentz's injuries have been freak injuries, it's always nice to have that insurance policy, and it's better than having to bring Josh McCown out of retirement, to just have a guy on team control that you can keep around in the organization for years to come. We don't know how good Jalen Hurts can be. Is he going to be at that tier of a lot of these mobile quarterbacks we've seen come out? Questionable. But again, Lincoln Riley loved him enough to recruit him. Nick Saban loved him enough to recruit him. Those are two of the best college coaches around. And if they both vouch for the guy, I think that says a lot about them. So I have the Eagles finishing 11-5 overall, winning this division.